So it's really a animal activism message more than anything else.
I think that my intent behind this work of art was I want to make something that looks cool.
Hello and welcome to Did I Do That? It's a podcast about making graphic design and making mistakes because it's all part of the process. I'm Sean Schumacher, and joining me today, it's a very special guest. That's going to be a huge shock to everybody who listens to this show. I never have very special guests on here. Her work ranges from interactive experiences for large brands to handcrafted textile artworks, all using data to inform, illuminate, and educate a wide audience. Her creative output has been featured in publications such as Brand New, It's Nice That, Page Magazine, and Creative Boom, and has been honored with awards from Core 77, Print, and AIGA Boston. She currently serves as Associate Design Director at Instrument here in Portland. It's Olivia Johnson. Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me here in the hottest room in Portland.
I think it's very comfortable.
I appreciate that. We were talking before the show about kind of the temperatures of various regions.
Yes.
And you are from very cold parts of the country.
Yes.
I am from very hot parts of the country. So I think we are maybe temperature sensitive in opposite directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That tracks.
It's a very toasty room right now. I don't quite understand why, because there is definitely air conditioning going. It's just pumping hot air in, which I don't quite understand.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I think it's great.
We were also talking a little bit before the show about the magic, the power of Barbenheimer. Are you psyched for Barbenheimer?
I'm psyched for the barb.
One half
part
of that.
Yes.
We're psyched for the barb. What is fascinating about the internet's attachment to these two powerful movies is kind of the distinction in how they're being marketed.
Yes.
Barbie is kind of everywhere. There's cereals, there's dream houses. I just read last night that there's a sauce at Burger King, a pink sauce. What could it be?
Appetizing.
Yeah. Burger King, having not learned their lesson with the black buns that gave everyone digestive problems, continuing to put money down on the really weird food coloring zone. Oppenheimer, on the other hand, the only public stuff I've seen about it seems to be posts talking about how physically large the film is.
The only thing I've heard about it is that it's also coming out the same day as Barbie.
Yeah, that is the other key selling point, which is a very strange one.
Yeah.
I don't really know if they thought about what people would want to see in this movie.
Yeah.
that's a really bizarre thing. But the Barbie marketing is really all over the place. There's been so much pink paint used that it contributed to a global pink shortage for a while.
Wait, is that real? Is that a joke?
For real. Well, apparently the story is there was already sort of a global pink shortage, and then the Barbie movie started production. They were like, well, I guess they need all the pink. So there was like no pink.
You mean like red dye number 4 or whatever is low? Yeah,
something like that. But like thinking about, just how expertly marketed the Barbie movie has been, how ubiquitous it has been, made me kind of curious. Like the Barbie company has not always been as successful with their marketing.
Okay. Yeah.
Mattel's had some hiccups. And just as you were coming into the studio this morning, I happened across this, which is an actual Barbie product. I'm gonna pass my.
Okay. Wait. What year is this? Okay, no. This was after when I was at the height of Barbie's target audience, but I did have a variation of this for sure.
What is this product? Could you tell the audience?
It is Tanner, Barbie's pooping dog, and toys that poop are just fun.
Wait, there's multiple toys that poop?
Oh, there's tons of dolls that poop, and
what?
You feed them plastic food and then it comes out. It's fun.
Oh, no. That's terrifying. Yeah, Tanner Barbie's pooping dog. It blew my mind. So Tanner Barbie's pooping dog came out in 2006. presumably on the tail of some of those other dolls that also poop, which maybe it's less horrifying that it's a dog and not a human a human child. But they have really thought a lot about the pooping as a key component of this doll, which I kind of love. In addition to the dog just being able to poop, Barbie has some sort of weird pooper scooper.
Well, it's teaching kids to be good neighbors.
Yeah, but it looks like it's sort of a shotgun, sort of a poop shotgun that Barbie has.
It kind of does.
It's a really puzzling device because there's nothing really like it in the real world.
Yeah, does it like suck up the
I don't know. I assume it's like a grabber arm because it kind of looks like it has like a little mouth at the end of it, as horrifying as that seems. But I just don't. You'll be shocked to learn that this product was only out for 1 year. Because apparently young children were swallowing certain aspects of it.
Well, that happens.
Which contain magnets for unknowable reasons.
Well, so the pooper scooper can pick up the poop.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I bet that is it. So the pooper scooper has a metallic end, and then poop is magnets.
I think part of Barbie's marketing is to create toys that are a little bit risky.
That's
like
true.
Like the roller skates, that a feator of them was that they create sparks.
What, really?
So in the early 90s, there was a roller skating Barbie, or rollerblading.
Okay.
Excuse me, rollerblading.
That feels much more 90s to me.
Yes, and
Hip
the
and rad.
rollerblade wheels had the same mechanic as like a lighter. Like when you click a lighter. So when you use Barbie, she like sparks come out of her wheels, and that was like on the box. Like, see the sparks fly.
Burn down your parents' house.
Yeah, and so like the older brother would like take the wheels and like, you know,
go smoke with Barbie's roller skates. Wow, that's what a.
Yeah, I actually somehow made it into Barbie collector TikTok, so I do know a lot about the history of Barbie and like
really?
What the valuable dolls are, what's like, you know, most sought after.
Does that mean that you are collecting them, or you're just observing this?
I just am very interested in other people who do. I just am fascinated by it. Every time a video comes up, I'm like, I need to like understand this model of Midge. You know.
Did Barbie have a friend called Midge?
Oh, absolutely. She's in the movie. She's, I think, best known now as the pregnant Barbie.
Oh.
That was also a scandalous moment in Barbie's history.
Scandalous, but that seems much more important as a milestone than maybe pooping dog.
But I think that the scandal was like they're supposed to be teen dolls.
Oh.
But whatever.
Yeah.
But Midge was Barbie's first friend. Just to let you know, and they can share the same clothes.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
So that's a big friendship
and
feature.
So the original Barbie had this kind of like sideways glance, like kind of like a sexy look.
Oh yes.
And some parents didn't let their kids get Barbie because she was too sexy, so they brought out Midge, who is a little bit more homely. And like has less of that like sideways come hither glance. So that's kind of where Midge came from.
So Midge is sort of like a librarian or something.
Well, she has a little smile.
Yeah.
She is looking at you and not like away from you. But she has the same like body as Barbie. Just her face is a little bit less like severe because the old Barbies have like kind of intense faces.
They do, and I feel like especially the eye makeup on those.
Yeah,
I always think
Midge
about.
is definitely it's a more natural makeup look.
Yeah.
So if you want to know anything about Barbie, I can tell you. I also was just one of those kids that had like 100 Barbies and none of them had clothes. And one can. But I had two sisters, so you know. That's what happens when you have three girls in the 90s.
Yeah, you end up starting a Barbie nudist colony.
Yes, you do.
Knowing that you had Barbies and that you are getting back into at least observing this Barbie collection, what would be like the Barbie that would like get you back into collecting?
Well, I do have my mom's Malibu Barbie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of cool. I don't know. I like the retro ones. I like there was an era where Barbie was mod. So like she was like very like cool 60s.
I could get into that very easily. That sounds great.
Yeah, and like the clothes are amazing. The older clothes are really well made. Like a lot of them are like hand stitched and like just really beautiful.
Oh.
The newer stuff is a little bit like, like Velcro or whatever, but
yeah.
Just like the like craftsmanship of the old stuff is pretty cool. Me.
I can't even imagine having to like I'd never really thought of that until now, but yeah, the amount of complexity in sewing some of those outfits.
Right. Well, especially in the early days when they didn't have like all of the Mattel like factories and stuff. Like it is really, and it was pretty expensive when you like look at inflation too. It was like not really, like the dollar store kind of vibe that you get now, And like most kids who got a Barbie, they had one Barbie because they would come with just a swimsuit. They wouldn't come with like all of the accessories and stuff, and then you would buy that separately.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's very disposable. Like you get every Barbie. But I think that's, kind of cool. Like I felt like kids kind of took care of them more.
I mean, and that seems like a much more sustainable model too than just 1 million pounds of plastic that, all go into the plastic heaven. Plastic heaven.
Yes. Which is Earth.
Yeah, it's sort of enlarging the circumference of the Earth every day with, the remnants of the Anthropocene. So that kind of is a little bit of where maybe your mind started perhaps noticing aesthetic things, would you say? Like,
I don't think so
no?
with Barbie. I don't know. Like, my dad's an architect.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So, and I think like, having him in my life kind of encouraged me to explore art. But yeah, I just always liked drawing and making. I was very like introverted as a kid. I just kind of like to do my own thing. So it's kind of where it came from. And then I got into graphic design through Neopets.
Wait, really?
Yes.
What were you drawing Neopet
I was
like
drawing
fan
my
art?
pets, but I was also like coding my like pet pages and stuff. Like that's how I learned HTML, CSS, and then later MySpace. I got into it.
So many people of our generation. Yeah, that's
Neopets
and MySpace.
That's
are
how I
the
got
entry
into graphic
points.
design. That's how I understood that graphic design was even a thing.
Yeah,
So I've been desperately trying to get back in my Neopets account.
Well, I heard recently that they are trying to kind of reboot
they
Neopets.
Are.
Yeah.
And I was like, ugh. I like used like an old Yahoo email, and I was like contacting Yahoo's customer support, and like you have to like pay for like premium support from Yahoo and all the. But yeah, I couldn't get in. So
I was gonna say Yahoo as a company doesn't feel like they're well positioned to have any customer support.
I know.
At all.
Yeah. So I really am legitimately kind of like sad I can't get back into it because I put so many hours of my life into my Neopets profile. Like that's like where my career came from.
Do you have any like recollections of which Neopets were your favorite? Like,
I like the rare ones, the ones that cost a lot of Neo points to get.
How did I Neopets like was right after my time. I think I'm just slightly too old. Did you have to buy the Neopets? Is that how it worked with?
No. They were free, but then like there are some special pets that like hatch from an egg. You had to buy the egg.
Oh.
Or you would like buy a special potion that transformed the Neopet.
Into a different Neopet?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Or you could like zap them with a Labre.
So there's certain aspects of gambling at play with these.
They're actually literally were games, like slot machine games, that you had to be 13 to play. And Neopets is also where I learned about the stock market.
Oh yeah, because there's the whole. It's sort of a similar thing to like the Animal Crossing. Like certain things have
definitely
high days and low days.
But like what I learned was just buy every day. Buy 1,000 stocks in the cheapest option, and it's just like saving for retirement. Now you just invest in, the S&P 500 regularly, and then eventually you'll get out ahead.
Yeah.
That's like truly how I learned it. Like,
Was there ever a Neopets market crash?
so there are only historically in the very early days a couple of like the little tickers that like crash, but like I don't think it ever happened again.
No Neopets Black Fridays.
Not that I recall.
So you're doing some coding on your Neopets account.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing some coding on your MySpace. Like that's kind of where you're entering into graphic design essentially.
Yeah.
And this was kind of around your high school days, would you say?
Yeah, I think Neopets was a little earlier. That was like more middle school, but
Yeah.
then MySpace was definitely high school.
Like, did you have like graphic design classes at your high school?
We had a Flash class.
Hey.
And I like learned how to make a website in Flash, and I'm like, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna use this. This is gonna get me a job later on.
Flash was very easy to use. I've said a couple times that was my entry point into
Yeah,
design.
well, and like animating in Flash too was so fun.
Yeah.
It's so intuitive.
The drawing and shape tools I'd still find 1,000 times better than what Illustrator does.
Yeah.
Even the weird hacky versions of them.
Oh yeah. And then we also used Dreamweaver.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't know if I think I might have learned that in pre-college at Ringling College of Art and Design. So both very, very great tools to know now, right?
Absolutely. The market is clamoring for both Flash and Macromedia Dreamweaver.
Yeah, but I went to a pretty low-funded high school, so we didn't really have like very advanced classes. Like we didn't even have APR. We just had like painting and drawing and photography, and then web design.
Teaching you all the most advanced techniques.
So I kind of came into college like really having pretty not a ton of knowledge with like software and stuff. I had to learn as I went. I
do notice over there that you have brought in one of your sketchbooks from your high school days.
Yes.
What is happening in that sketchbook?
So I marked some pages to highlight. So for context, I went to high school from 2008 to 2012. And it is reflected very strongly in the sketchbook. So some highlights. Here's one. Oh,
you've got a deer with some sort of faceted like triangles on it, which was definitely a look back then.
Yeah, I was very inspired by posters you could buy from Urban Outfitters. A lot of this kind of has that vibe.
One of the things that I always think about 2012 Portland as like one of the core aesthetics is like the like deer head mounted onto the wall, but in those like low poly triangles
with like sunglasses on it or something.
Yeah, that too. Those are so like around the time that I moved here. I bet that was an amazing time in Portland, though. It was a lot cheaper, I'll tell you that. I bet it was so fun. If I'd had any money at all, I should have bought a house, but I had no money. I had negative money. That's okay. Yeah. Okay. As a grad student, what can you do? Here's another one. Oh my God. I gotta say, you're pretty good at drawing. Like the shading on this is sort of a little girl with a cat skull head. Yes. And the shading on the skull is especially very good. And it is saying meow. Yes. And it has a hair bow. A hair bow. And those are both kind of collaged in on this like beautiful triangle pattern paper. Some contrast issues, I will say, in the speech bubble, because black on red is a little challenging. I wasn't really thinking about accessibility at this point. Okay, I'm going to show you. Nobody was in 2012. I'm going to show you one more from this. Oh, damn. You're very good at drawing. Do you know this band, though? No, I don't know them at all. Oh, my God. Okay, so this is a drawing of the two people that make up the band Sleigh Bells, which was like, it was an indie band. You know, it was the early 2010s. Indie bands were big. So everything has to have a slightly ironic name. And and like upside down cross in the logo. Absolutely. Yeah. So this is for those of you who can't see, which is all of you because you can't see. This is an audio medium. It is an incredibly well rendered drawing with incredibly well rendered like jean jacket fabric that is just absolutely fucking gorgeous. Thank you.
I don't even think I don't think I could draw like this today, actually.
Did you draw the roses too, or is that also a collage?
No, that's just something I printed out,
Okay.
I think. So, yeah.
But like the drawing itself, like it just really, really
I thought
well
we were going to
captured.
make fun of my work. I was expecting you to like go in.
But I feel like oftentimes though, like this process is one of like finding beauty in stuff that often is a little bit forgotten about. You've opened up another one of your sketchbooks. This is also a high school.
This is high school. This was post pre-college, which I had like my first like art school experience. So I think my work got a little bit more elevated. And actually my high school art teacher's notes are in here too.
Oh no.
Which is she's very flattering to me. She says, "Wow." It says, "It shows your growth." Okay, but this is when I was getting into typography.
Can I also just like give a special shout out to that teacher who does the same trick that I do when I write comments, which is after you do about 40 of them, your mind starts to just completely go, and you need to have like an exclamatory statement at the beginning. Wow, hey, yeah. Like if you've ever gotten an email from me that includes any of those words.
Do you use a lot of exclamation points?
Absolutely, I do.
I really appreciate that. If you don't use exclamation points, like you're mad at me.
I never used to use exclamation points until I moved up here. And then my teaching partner, Kate Dingman-Burt, past guest on the show, uses them for every single sentence, which is amazing. And I cannot use periods anymore.
I think it's great.
There's something very exciting about it too. Like you know for sure what the tone is. It's not like, what could this person mean?
No.
So you have been experimenting in typography for sure. This is what it says is if you can't use the right form of I can't take you serious. It feels like maybe there's something missing there, or
no. So I didn't like it when people like said, "What's your problem?"
Oh, sure.
But then they would say it Y-O-U-R instead of Y-O-U-R-E, and that just really grinded my gears.
Oh, that's very fair.
Yeah,
that is annoying. And that kind of looked like it was spray painted.
It was
onto
spray painted.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a lot of spray paint.
That notebook must have been a powerful smell back in the day.
Oh yeah, and I think we did it like inside. We didn't have again underfunded school, no spray booth.
No, we didn't know about ventilation back then.
Okay, I just have one more selection of high school art to show you.
Please.
And it's on my Facebook.
Okay. We were talking about this before the show, how Facebook is kind of the repository for things of this era, more than anything else almost.
Truly.
I don't know that I really have any physical work left from there.
I'm gonna hand this to you.
But I bet
you can choose.
Oh my God.
This is how I got into college.
Wow.
This is what I submitted.
Oh, this is your portfolio to get into Ringling College of Art.
No, MICA.
Oh, this was to get into MICA.
So Ringling I went to for pre-college.
Oh, I see.
So that was the summer between junior and senior year of high school.
Damn.
And then MICA was where I went to for undergrad.
Wow. So you've got some incredible drawings in here, of course.
Thank you.
Another skull. You're very skull focused in a lot of ways.
I guess so. Yeah, it is a pattern, isn't it?
I mean, it's a good era in terms of someone's life for them to be very focused on, life and death. Everything is very intense in high school times. Oh my God, this snail.
I got a horrible critique on that snail.
Please, what was the critique?
So this was in pre-college.
Okay.
This was like a real art school, and they were just like, it doesn't look like a snail. It looks unrealistic.
Oh.
You're really bad at drawing.
Well, oh God, that's quite rough.
I mean, that's what, obviously it's not verbatim, but that's what I took away from the critique.
It definitely isn't a realistic drawing of a snail, but nothing about it says to me that that's what you're trying to do. It's like a very textured snail, sort of a patchwork snail. I kind of want to go back to the deer.
Yes.
So the deer. This is a deer in multiple colors. You've got "Oh dear" sort of in stacked letters on the side.
Typography.
Incredible typography filled in with patterns. The deer is also covered in patterns, I should say. All the shadow parts of deer are wavy patterns, but the deer is talking about a shotgun. The deer has murder on its mind, I think.
No, the deer is talking about how it doesn't want to get murdered.
Oh, I see.
That's why it says, "Oh dear," because deer are popular. It's popular hunting game.
That is true.
It's deep.
It is deep. So it's really a animal activism message more than anything else.
I think that my intent behind this work of art was, I want to make something that looks cool.
So that would be on the artist statement in the museum next to this work.
Yeah.
The little placard. It is cool. It's got some color.
I want to make something that Urban Outfitters would sell.
This would absolutely be for sale.
That was definitely my intention with this period of art making.
Yeah, it's got the pinks and the greens and the sort of washy tonality on top of a very graphic image that I think is so key to that kind of thing. I do want to back up a little bit, though, because like in between terms in high school, you went to a real art school for summer.
Yes.
How did that happen? I've never even heard of that being a thing. Yeah.
So it's a pretty, a lot of art schools do it. It's called pre-college. PNCA might even do something, but basically it's like high school kids can take 6 weeks and take classes at an art school the summer between junior and senior year to help work on their portfolio, and just understand what a critique is, do life drawing. That's when I opened up Adobe for the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's kind of like summer camp for art kids.
Yeah,
basically. And
you're hanging out in Florida also during this.
Yes.
Which must be quite the change from the Midwest.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I was like, ooh, Florida, that's exotic, because I'm from Ohio.
Yeah. Sun and sand.
Definitely formative. I actually still have one of my best friends I met during pre-college, and we've never lived in the same city, but we still stay in touch. She was in my wedding.
Wow.
But yeah, it was cool. It definitely made me a snob. When I went back for my senior year of high school, I was like, oh, I'm above all of you people now.
Oh, so you kind of study abroad syndrome a little bit.
Yeah, study abroad in Sarasota, Florida.
the most international of cities.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and before that, had you kind of been, I imagine you would have to be fairly sure that this is what you wanted to do.
Oh yeah, I had never had any doubts, never wanted to change my major.
Yeah.
In terms of being able to start my career pretty young.
And from essentially this work, the packet before us, you got into Maryland Institute College of Art. And from that, you would have had to move to Baltimore. What?
Yeah.
And by that point, you were pretty well into graphic design is the thing.
Yeah, but it was a struggle because you didn't take graphic design classes freshman year.
No.
It was all drawing and painting, and I was a little shit, and I was I don't care about this. I just want to do graphic design.
Well, yeah, because you had done the drawing and painting thing,
right,
so you're sick of it at that point.
Kind of. And now I'm looking back, I'm man, that would have been so nice to just draw and paint all day. I hate graphic design.
That's how it always works, though.
I know.
You never know what you're letting go of until it's already gone. Pave paradise and put up a parking lot. Bop, 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 bop.
Yeah.
Wait, no, that's not how that goes. Whatever. Something like that.
Yeah. Actually, I wrote some notes here because I know we wanted to talk about mistakes and stuff. And one of the things I wanted to talk about is the fact that I did not have fun in college.
Really?
Because I took myself so seriously.
Oh, you became super serious.
Yeah, I was not a good student in high school. Really, I partied all the time. I had my own apartment as a senior in high school.
What, really?
So because my parents moved and we wanted to stay in the same school district, but I very much took advantage of that. And then in college, Well, I met my husband, my now husband, like the first month of college.
Wow.
But also, I just like, it was also 2012 when I started college, and it was like the recession was still a very real thing. And I was just like, I need a job. Like every choice now I make has to be towards getting a job. And so, like, I didn't, like, really go out much. I, like, took all of my assignments super seriously. I, like, didn't have fun. And now I'm like, man, like, I should have relaxed. Because so many kids I went to school with who, like, didn't give a shit, like, they have the same job as me now.
Yeah.
You know? So I would say,
they got
like,
to party it up.
Yeah, I would be like, just chill out. Like, it's not that serious. But, like, back then, just getting a job felt like a big goal.
That is a great thing to bring up, because I think going into the economic situation that we're probably looking at,
right?
I think a lot of folks are getting into that same mindset of like, you know, if you want a job in this like environment of uncertainty, you have to be like 1,000%, when, you know, that really only leads to burnout.
Totally. Yeah. So, I mean, it definitely is similar in a way, but also it's like things are harder now, but like you'll find a job.
Yeah.
Like you will, even if it's not like the perfect job right out of school. But for me, I was just like, I have to get my dream job out of school. Like I did like 5 internships. Like I didn't like have fun in the summer.
You did 5 internships? That's so many internships.
Yeah. Like I did an internship after freshman year.
Wow.
I did one after sophomore year. I did 2. I guess I only did 4.
Still, that's a lot.
Right, yeah. So,
and that you did one after freshman year is kind of astonishing, because that nobody does that.
I know, but I was like, I'm not going back to Ohio. So,
you're in the exciting city of Baltimore now.
Baltimore is actually very exciting.
I've heard it's actually kind of cool.
It's a little too exciting in some aspects.
Yeah. What can you do? Had you wanted to stay in Baltimore permanently, or?
So at first, maybe. What actually happened was I got mugged the summer between my junior and senior year. I think if I didn't get mugged, I might still be there. But I was like walking home from Rite Aid at like 2 in the afternoon, and I got mugged like a block from my house.
Daylight mugging.
Yeah.
Wow.
And after that, I like my like sense of safety was sort of shattered. Like I just didn't feel safe walking around. So after that, I was like, I want to like live somewhere where I can just like walk places. And like you don't really, it's something you really take for granted, I think, in most places, just being able to walk without looking over your shoulder all the time.
Yeah. Or being able to walk around at all. Which, you know, I mean, most cities in the U.S. is nearly impossible.
Yeah, definitely. So after that, I was like, okay, I'm like ready to like move on to somewhere else. And my then boyfriend, now husband, went to grad school at RISD. So that's where we went, Providence.
Up in beautiful Rhode Island.
It is beautiful. Are you being sarcastic?
No, I've never been to Rhode Island.
Oh
I
my
have
gosh.
no idea what it's like.
It is lovely. I mean, the winters are awful, but Providence is the cutest little New England college town. It's just like cobblestone streets and hills, and it's very charming.
Okay, this actually sounds very good.
Yeah, definitely recommend. It's much better than Boston. It blows Boston away by miles. Boston is kind of just like a sports guy city, which is not really my vibe.
I can't imagine. I've never heard of anyone being enthusiastic about Boston sports, so I obviously have no cultural touch point. You obviously
haven't been to Boston.
No. Do they have a sports team there? Any sort of sporting team?
Just the Patriots and the Red Sox.
Oh, you know, I think I've heard of them.
Yeah. I actually have a really intense hatred for the Patriots because. Do you want to hear the story?
Please.
Okay. So I took a trip to Reykjavik.
That if you gave me $1 million, I would not guess that was going to be the next line out of your mouth. But okay.
I was in Reykjavik with my husband, and he's a huge Ravens fan. He's from Baltimore, born and raised. Huge Ravens. If you're not familiar, graphic designers, they are a football team.
Yes.
In Baltimore.
Which I will say, a football team named after a literary device.
After Poe.
Kind of?
It's very cultured. So I became a fan of Ravens just by association. They also won the Super Bowl the first year I was in Baltimore. So I just,
That's pretty good.
it's close to my heart.
Do the Ravens have a mascot, or is it
It's
just...
a raven.
Oh, well, but I mean, like, is there just a very sad, like, foam Edgar Allan Poe just sort of standing on the sidelines with maybe a little tiny flag that he's waving back and forth?
They don't, but they should.
They should.
So we were in Reykjavik on vacation, and there was like a big football game happening that my husband really wanted to see. So we went to like the American bar. In Reykjavik.
Oh, that's always a very flattering thing. The international bar designed for Americans.
Yeah. And they were showing the Ravens versus Patriots game. And it turns out there are a lot of Patriots fans in Reykjavik. Icelandic Patriots fans. And this was the Deflate game.
Oh.
I can't explain it. I'm going to get the facts wrong.
I vaguely know it's something about they were taking air out of footballs to make the footballs do a different thing than they do normally. I guess.
Just like all
Don't
you need
email
to, all
me,
you need to know
everyone.
is the Patriots cheated, okay? And so the Ravens lost kind of bad, and there were a bunch of Icelandic Patriots fans. We were like wearing like our Ravens hats and stuff, and they like came and heckled us. They were like,
"Wow,
Patriots!" like just like yelling in our faces. And that really hurt my feelings. So now I hate them.
Wow. I would not have expected that level of kind of, I mean, that's like European soccer kind of bullying type energy.
You wouldn't, like, they seem so nice.
Yeah.
Those Icelandic people, but big Patriots fans, apparently.
For some reason.
Yeah.
Hanging out at the American bar, which I'm sure serves hamburgers and hot dogs and
Bud Light,
ranch dressing, all the most American things. Everyone's wearing a cowboy hat. There's peanuts on the floor. What are some other American things?
There's an American flag.
There's a Cadillac just sort of in the ceiling somehow.
Elvis is there.
Yes. I was trying to figure out where. Maybe he's just there.
Yeah, he's just like a waiter.
Yeah, he didn't die. He faked his own death, and now he runs the American bar in Reykjavik.
I buy it.
Hey, you want fries with that? So you're now up in Providence.
Yes.
And you're done with school too. Like, did you have a notion when you were moving up there, like what kind of place you wanted to be at, or
like for a job?
Yeah.
I got a job offer while I was still in school.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well,
so again,
I guess you're doing all the internships.
I took
That's
myself
a great
very
way in.
seriously. And like during winter break of my senior year of college, we already knew we were moving to Providence. So I flew up to Boston to do informational interviews with companies up there.
Wow. An informational interview, for folks who don't know, is just like, there's not a job on the table even. You are just going and like talking to some folks in different companies and just being like, hey, I'm me. I've got some cool work if you want to see it. And I don't know, if you have a job, then...
That is honestly how I've gotten every job I've ever had. You just talk to people and, show that you're a person who cares.
Yeah.
It actually is very impactful. So I was like, okay, it costs like $80 to fly up there. I'll do it. We had a friend in Boston we stayed with. I like toured the studio that I ended up working at. They actually came to Micah for a career fair. So I had like my first real interview there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Got the job offer in like April of that year. Yeah. So that's what I was going to do.
Yeah. Good to have that sorted out, though.
Yeah. I mean, at that time, like working remotely was not an option. So, and Providence is very small. It's very like university focused. There's not a ton of jobs there. So I had to commute. It was like a 2-hour commute.
Every day?
Twice. Because I left the house at 7:30, got to work at 9:30.
That's too much.
That's
much too much.
It was a lot. I don't recommend it. It was very, like, I didn't have hobbies. I didn't have time for anything.
Yeah.
So definitely, like, my job out of school was great. Like, I learned so much. But, man, the commute was brutal.
Was it at, like, an agency? Or?
Yeah, so it was at a really small not an agency, just I would call it like a studio called So Limited, and they do like interactive physical installations.
Oh.
Lots of like kind of data focused stuff, founded by a bunch of MIT grads. So it kind of has that, academic science-y background to it.
Absolutely. Which I think also kind of ties into like your own data-driven
I think
work.
that was definitely super influential. It definitely got me interested in data and like how data can just like add such an interesting layer and meaning to work.
Yeah.
I would give a lot of credit to So for influencing me that way, for sure. But after my husband graduated from RISD, it was like the first time both of us weren't in school and like could choose where to live. So we chose Portland.
Had you been out here before? I mean, it's a pretty big difference.
We visited, I think, like Labor Day 2018. Beautiful weather, sunny, perfect.
Yeah. Probably the most perfect possible time to go.
Why are people saying it's rainy here? It's beautiful.
You fell into the trap.
I did.
The trap that all the tourists fall into.
But my husband has family here, so we stayed with them. They kind of like did their best to make it very attractive to move here. We like went to Multnomah Falls and we got brunch.
You got the whole.
I know.
The whole circuit.
And we didn't have a car, and I was like very passionately anti-car.
What about having a 4-hour commute ultimately every day would make you not want to be in a car all the time?
I took the train.
Oh, that's not ideal either.
Actually, ironically, we had a car in Baltimore, and in Providence, like our first month, our car got broken into, and I was like, well, we don't need this. Let's just get rid of it, because Providence is very tiny. You don't really need a car. And so one of our criteria for the next place we're going to live is I don't want to have to drive. I want to bike. I was very into biking. And of course, Portland is great for that.
I mean, you basically limited your options to Portland almost exclusively.
Well, it's like, think about like,
Portland and New York City.
Where can you live that you don't need a car and that isn't crazy expensive?
Well, yeah, then that is just Portland.
What are your options? Portland, Chicago, maybe, and like Philly?
Yeah.
That narrows it. Baltimore, too. And then it's like, okay, where can we live that's not super dangerous? So where can we live that's not crazy cold? So the only thing left is Portland.
Yeah,
so
you don't want to be living in an ice cube.
No, you don't. So yeah, we came out here, and then it was the pandemic.
Yay! No problems there.
And then we actually had to get a car because I was like going crazy. Because, like, you couldn't really hit the bus. I just felt I was, like, in a little, like, bubble. We were in a third-floor apartment with no, like, outdoor space.
Well, that's the thing, is, like, especially during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, if you were just in your apartment all the time, there's only so many walks you can take around your neighborhood before you start to go crazy. You can't exactly go camping if you're sort of bus limited.
It's tough. I've actually never been camping before.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not going to get your official Portland citizenship card until you do.
I wasn't like a camping person. I was a TV child, so I didn't grow up with like the feelings of being a camping person. I just like, I don't know. Like,
you would be maybe more into glamping than camping?
Maybe, but it's like, why would I do this to be less comfortable? Like, why would I choose to spend time not having the things that make life easy?
That's fair. That is a big downside of a lot of camping situations. You may be going to a place that, say, doesn't have heat.
I need to, like, go with a person who's, like, good at camping.
Well, yes. Although that can kind of be a trap, too. Like,
really?
I have a friend who is a very avid backpacker. And there are so many backpacking accoutrements, and
it's expensive.
It's very expensive. It's very complicated. You have to be in like bodybuilder level shape in order to keep up with like a 20-mile per day hike.
Yeah.
I will never be there.
No.
Simply ever in my life.
Yeah. That's actually something so funny about Portland when I first moved here, is that people in the city walk so slow, but when you're hiking, people go so fast. Like, I'm like always like lapping people when I'm like walking down the street, but then like people are lapping me when I'm like trying to like enjoy the view.
Yeah. Well, they just want to stop and smell the dog poop walking around the city. But like, hiking, we got to get past these trees.
I know.
There's more trees. Shit.
It stuck out to me.
It's a very odd energy.
Yeah.
The two Portlands. So like you move up here, and I assume you do an informational interview at Instrument, and that's
Yeah. So I when I was still in Providence trying to figure out like, okay, what are the opportunities in Portland, I went to my old friend LinkedIn.
everyone's favorite social networking site,
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Exactly. And I was like, okay, who at Instrument do I have an in with? And I found someone who was a MICA alumni.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
a great technique.
Yeah.
Like everyone should be doing
Yes, definitely. I mean, just figure out, is there someone out there that, you can relate to?
that. Yeah.
Like, that just makes such a big difference. So I did not fly out here for the informational interview.
Oh, this was all digital.
This is all digital.
The precursor to
Yes,
the world that we now live in,
Yeah.
especially at Instrument.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just got on the phone with him. He's like, okay, cool, I'll refer you. And I had like 10 interviews.
Oh, wow.
It was a long process. It was kind of scary because like I had never had like a gap in employment before. Like, after school, I like just immediately got a job. But I had left my job at So because I was like, I need a break from the commute. So like I didn't have health insurance, didn't have a job. So it was a little bit stressful. I recommend getting a job before leaving your other job. If you can.
Especially when you have kind of a cross-country move involved.
Yeah. But I had optimism. That ended up being the only place I interviewed with, and it worked out. But yeah, I just started as mid-level, which I think worked out because it was really different.
Yeah.
Such bigger brands, definitely a lot more pressure, but also just like different to be at a company where you're not like sitting next to like the owner every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's about as different a feel as you can possibly.
Yeah.
Like Instrument is a humongous
Yeah.
agency.
It wasn't so big then, but it was like maybe 120 people, but I went from a studio with 8 people.
Yeah, and at a small studio, you're going to be doing a little bit of everything.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like working at a small studio you have to be a designer, a producer, a strategist, a marketing person, a note taker. Like you literally do everything. Like developer.
Yeah.
And at Instrument, I ordered the snacks.
Hey.
But at Instrument, just having that like free brain space to just focus on creative stuff is so invaluable.
Yes. At what point in your trajectory did you start doing your data visualization work?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, when I was at my previous job, I had 4 hours of commuting a day. So I literally had no time for things. And then moving to Portland, I had a 20-minute commute on my bike.
Hey.
And so I like discovered free time. Like, oh my gosh, I literally didn't know what to do with myself.
Wow.
Like getting home at 5:30. I was like, oh my gosh, like what?
It's still light out.
What do people do? And so that's kind of how I started to get into like a thing called hobbies. Which I had
hope to have some
I
someday.
had never had like a hobby before.
Yeah, really?
Well, like, as a kid, kind of, but like, I took myself very seriously, as I said. It was all work all the time. And now it's like I have this freedom to like pursue things and passions. And so I did like, a little bit of data viz stuff, my first job. But then I started to just like get really sick of computers.
I can't imagine what would make you want to do that around, say, 2020.
Well, the funny thing is, the first kind of big physical data project that I did was actually before the pandemic.
Really?
Yeah, because I was just like, okay, what could I do that's physical? And then I realized that cross stitch is just pixels.
Yeah.
And so I could really like translate what I know about digital design to that. And so I did start it in like January 2020. And it worked out well. Yeah. Because cross stitch is very tedious and takes a lot of time, and you do it indoors alone. So.
Yeah. Well, and it's this wonderful like tactile thing. And the work itself is about kind of gender inequality, right?
Yeah, totally. That's definitely like kind of where the idea came from, is like putting in this labor that is typically not really appreciated. Also, I was watching a lot of TV, and I needed something to do while I watched TV. Like I like get nervous. I needed something with my hands, so that's why like I got into cross stitch and crochet. But yeah, I just like felt a lot more impactful to like have the medium connect to the data you know?
Yeah. And that has led into other projects in that space too.
Yeah, definitely. So it seemed to resonate with people, which was really cool. I think that it's just one of those things that like you kind of see people really stretch what the expectations are around like these kind of traditional textile mediums. But I think like it was a lot of people's kind of first exposure to like using the craft in such like a non-crafty way.
Yeah.
Like non-kitschy way, I guess. But yeah, I just wanted to, you know, continue to explore like what mediums I could use to inform the work and also just really highlight things I care about.
Yeah, like activism too.
No, absolutely. Because I just think when people see a bar chart accompanied with an article, most people don't really like look at it. People don't really take it in as much. So that's kind of where like, okay, if I create something that maybe even at first glance just looks like art, you know, that brings people in, they'll actually like take in the information and learn something.
And that has kind of led into other things too. Like you have a class on Domestica where you actually kind of teach people how to do this. Yeah,
I mean, I do my best.
How did that come about? How did you get into that?
They just reached out to me and I was like, are you sure? And I had never, like I've TA'd before, but I've never like taught a class before. And so it was a very new experience for me and a lot of work. Like it's a pretty in-depth course. There are like units in the course and like assignments and stuff. But it was kind of cool to like break down my process that way. But yeah, they just reached out to me randomly. I think they probably saw like, you know, It's Nice That article or something about my work. But yeah, it was a cool experience, but it was a lot of work and it kind of makes me like not want to be a teacher ever again.
Yeah, even I was watching the trailer for that like a couple days ago, and it's a high level of production in those.
Yeah, like they flew me to New York.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they flew me to New York to like record the video portion, and they had like a director. They had like the little thing that like clicks, you know. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool to also just kind of be recognized as someone who like has the authority to teach this because I just kind of did it for fun. Yeah. You know, it's been cool that it's just been connecting with people.
Yeah. And if people do want to find that, like where can they go and like look at it?
There is a URL.
It's linked off your website, I think.
It is on my website. It's o-j.co. So you can see it there. I think it's also in my Instagram bio. But if you just Google like Olivia Johnson Domestica or Olivia Johnson Data Visualization, it should come up.
Yes. And if they want to see more of your work just in general, that's also the way to do it.
Sure is.
I did this all in the wrong order. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I think the heat has gotten to my brain, and I don't know why that is. I'm a little frazzled, but I appreciate you so much.
You're doing great.
Oh, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
Olivia.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
Thank you again to all of you out there in Radioland who are hearing this. If you like this show, whether you're hearing it for the first time or you are an old listener who's just heard all of them and is sick of the sound of my voice, and fair enough, why not subscribe to this show in your podcast player? I mean, I guess you shouldn't subscribe if you're sick of the sound of my voice. That seems like a sign that things have gone awry. In our relationship as listener and host. Maybe you should find another show if that's your thing. But if you like it, listen to it, and then you can hear more of me. Boy, this is really good.
You got this.
What's wrong with me today? You can find this show on your podcast player of choice by searching for the show's title, but why not pay a visit to the wonderful website that I built for it? Did I do that? .design. That's where you can find all the good images that go along with each and every episode, including this one. And you can also find those images delivered directly to you on Instagram. You can listen to the show on YouTube. It's not a video show, so don't expect that there. If you want to embarrass yourself publicly by showing support for us, why not go to LinkedIn? We have a LinkedIn that is active once again, and it is something.
Shout out to LinkedIn.
Yeah, 2023, make LinkedIn weird again.
Yes.
You can also go to fontroversy.com and check out the wonderful new podcast that I produce that is hosted by my student Lena Hall and is produced by students of a class of mine here at PSUGD. It's a really wonderful, fun, weird time, and I would totally encourage you to check it out. I am Sean Schumacher. This is Did I Do That? And as we always say at the close of every episode,
did I do that?
our first Urkel in a long time. Thank you. All right, bye.
It's a cool place, but again, it's too cold.
Yeah, in winter it is a very cool place.
It's really, really, it's like, it's worse than Boston for sure.
I would not be surprised. I remember a friend who moved to Las Vegas telling me, like, she'd been in Chicago before that. The amount of winter wear you have to have,
Yes.
like, not even just like you could have, you must have
You will
in order to not die.
Yeah.
This is just overwhelming.
Yeah, definitely. I had to like wear wool long johns every day because I commuted to Boston from Providence. And so I probably walked like 40 minutes a day in the cold, at least from like one train station to the other. So it was nice to be able to get rid of all of that when I moved out here.
This is a tropical vacation compared to that.
It is.